but what a cracker to start off your Tuesday morning, the Tuesday evening in Melbourne. Victoria Azarenka, two-time champion, taking on the third seed, many people's favourite now, Jessica Pegula, in the company of Annabel Croft and David Law.
Thank you very much, Gigi. I think my first question really, Annabel, is who you think's going to win this, because I could make a case for either one in this. It's a match I'm looking forward to because of that. You've got a twice former champion who's been there and done it before against a player who's yet to win a Grand Slam quarter-final, but who is in the most incredible form. Yeah,
it's hard to argue with that, David. I'm with you. I think you could make a case for either, but if I was going to put my money on the line, I'm going to go with Jessica Pegula today. I just feel like she's going to be a little bit more intense and higher level because of she's on the up, and you feel like sort of Azarenka's defending her position. I feel like Pegula's going to have the edge today.
It's fascinating, really interesting to hear your thoughts, Annabel. Here's a forehand down the centre by Victoria Azarenka in front of us, the champion here in 2012 and 2013. She hits an inside-out forehand to start things off, and that was very nicely timed as she moved through the ball and it went away for a winner. There's a sort of mist in the air as though there's been some fireworks, but actually we're underneath the lights here, so that can't be the case. Underneath the roof, in fact, because we had a nice big rainstorm earlier.
Yeah, if you didn't know that, you'd say, oh, it might be an Aussie barbecue going on somewhere in the area. Sort of looks like that, doesn't it? They're kind of both mirror images of each other, really, these two, aren't they?
Yeah, game style wise, we'll get that view from you in a second. Oh, a little bit of luck for Azarenka perhaps there as the ball hits the top of the net from Pegula, because looking right down that line where Jessica Pegula hit her backhand, I could see that was going to go right down the line and onto the line, and then it clipped the top of the net and sort of diverted back towards Azarenka and helped her out a bit.
Yes, it definitely did. But no, they're terrific ball strikers, both of them. They're quite sort of, they're not flair players. They're just really well rehearsed when they come out. Very good techniques off both wings.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Not flair players, but they do several things well. Forehand on the line from Azarenka. She's really going after the ball from the baseline here. No great surprise there. Hits her backhand from the deep position. Drop shot Pegula. Here comes Azarenka. And now a chance for the pass for Pegula. That is very well played by her. She spotted the drop shot potential then with Azarenka so far back, and then skewered her with that backhand down the line.
Yeah, that was clearly a well thought out tactic, wasn't it? Because they've been getting into these baseline exchanges early on in this opening game, and Pegula just throwing in something a little bit different, drawing Azarenka forward. Made her look very uncomfortable as she stretched for that volley. Really smart tactics. And it's clear that Azarenka's come out to impose herself very quickly on this match as well. The way she's striking the ball.
That drop shot took me by surprise, I have to say. I mean, as Annabel said, I don't think of Jessica Pegula as a flair player. She's a really formidable one, but I don't think of her as somebody who plays great touch. But goodness, she did there, and now she follows it up with the bread and butter, the thumping forehand win across court for 30-all.
Yeah, that was a heavy strike off the forehand side, and I think that's where she's improved so much, because she's got such a solid base of the pyramid where she doesn't miss. Her sort of B game is really structured, and then she can really sort of step on the accelerator when she wants to these days.
Serves out wide as Azarenka. 30 lovers becomes 30-all. She thought about coming in behind that forehand then, Azarenka, and decided against it. Now she's hit the sideline. Lob lifted by Pegula. Drive volleyed by Azarenka. Another lob lifted by Pegula. Where's that going to land? Out.
At the moment, it's Azarenka who's being the more aggressive of the two. She's the one making the play at the moment, and she's moving the ball really well into the corners. She's got a very aggressive game style and game plan at the moment. And she's marching.
Doesn't like to be dominated by anybody, does she? She wants to show you who's boss. She's marching indeed, I agree with you. Just thinking back to that US Open semi-final she played against Serena Williams during lockdown, and those two going at each other was something to behold, and Azarenka actually got the better of Serena Williams, which was amazing. Forehand on the line struck by Pegula into the net, but she's shown flashes there in the opening game of just how formidable she is. This could be a good one.
I think so. And a little look across to her camp from Azarenka as she's marching once again to the change of ends. I don't think she could be walking any quicker than she is. Otherwise, she'd be speed walking, wouldn't she, in between the points? I mean, it's really quick, David. She's in that kind of mood.
Yeah, and I feel like she's both sending a message to her opponent and to herself that I'm so up for this.
Yes.
I'm ready for anything. Just bring it on.
Oh, definitely. She looks like, those people you see out in the park with their poles when they're just speed marching around, and that's what she looks like to me at the moment.
Gigi tells me that's what's like going a walk with you, Annabelle.
Oh, well, we're trying. Yeah, we've enjoyed
Very
our
purposeful.
walk. Yeah.
Here's a serve down the centre from Pegula off the back foot. She hits that shot. She's trying to stand her ground here, and she's gone down the line with a forehand, but the sheer pace of that backhand down the line from Azarenka, a little bit too much for Pegula. The backhand of Azarenka, I mean, how many matches has that won?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the really fabulous shots to see out on the women's tour. I remember Sam Stosur standing courtside when we were watching an Azarenka match, just saying, do not give her any backhands. It's one of the best backhands cross-court you'll ever see.
Wow.
She very rarely misses it.
Here she is with that backhand going cross-court. She's got Pegula out of court. But oh, wow, from Pegula with her cross-court backhand. She barely reached that ball, and yet her wrists were strong enough to divert it cross-court for a clean winner.
Well, I thought Azarenka was in command at this point. Beautiful backhand cross-court, really struck it well, came forward, but kind of a hook lunged passing shot from Pegula, really smart, played on the open stance, outside leg, really clever.
Serve down the middle from Pegula into the body of Azarenka, who goes just long, so 30-15. Early signs, though. This is the match that we were hoping for. I mean, it is very early days, and a player... I mean, I remember thinking at 2 games all yesterday how competitive Novak Djokovic against Alex de Minaur was.
Well, that's true. Yeah, it was competitive for 4 games, and then it just completely went away, didn't it? But you're right, at the moment, this is pretty intense.
Cross-court and out has gone Pegula with her forehand, so both opening 2 service games have been 30 all, and it was interesting to watch the way that Pegula hits her forehand. It was very army. It's sort of really, she reuses her forearm to get behind the ball and give it an absolute crash down the line there, and that one's gone wide, and she's just walking towards our commentary box window here. Just looks as if she's trying to compose herself a little bit.
Yeah, she's being rushed a little bit, isn't she? And the way Azarenka's hitting the ball and coming at her, it's fast, furious tennis. She hasn't had too much time to think or prepare for her shots. And yeah, you're right, she's just trying to gather herself together.
Big forehand down the line from Azarenka with break point here for a 2-love lead. She'll hit that backhand of hers, but she slices actually. That's an interesting tactic from her. Now drives through the middle of the court. Great hitting from both players here, particularly Azarenka, who takes it out of the air. Drive volleys, lob by Pegula. Where's that going? Out. Break. 2-love Azarenka, who is rolling back the years here. It's easy to forget just how much this woman has achieved in this sport, because it's a fair while ago now, but 2012 and 2013 she was the world #1, and she was winning this title twice and was really the best player in the world for a reason. And it's great that she's still out there and reminding us here, Annabelle, that she's still got it.
Oh, it is. I mean, at 33 years of age, a mum as well, as we've been saying all morning, how difficult that must be to juggle everything, and yet she's still hungry for success. One of the most determined, stubborn competitors on the tour.
The head-to-head between these two, as Pegula puts her backhand into the net, is 2-all. They played each other for the first time in 2021 here, the Australian Open 2 years ago, and Pegula won that. in the opening round, 7-5, 6-4, and then Azarenka won their next two matches, a really good one on grass actually in Berlin, as she will drive volley cross court with a forehand right into the corner. She's so secure with the drive volley, is Azarenka, taking the ball out of the sky there. That was an hour and 50 minutes, 6-2, 5-7, 6-4 in Berlin on grass. Then they played each other in Indian Wells that year, so 3 matches in 2021, and that was 6-4, 6-2 for Azarenka, but the most recent one won by Pegula in Guadalajara on a hard court, 7-6, 6-1. Here's a backhand down the centre from the American, but she's got her hands full here. Big hitting from Azarenka, even bigger though, the forehand down the line from Pegula, and I kind of feel like she needed that, Annabelle, because she was getting pushed around and then she just retaliated.
Yes, she definitely did, David. You just feel like she was just sort of going into her shell a little bit and now needs to reassert herself. And that was a good point from Azarenka, and for Pegula to come up with that round the outside of the net almost. Yeah, she just needed something to just get her going.
Yeah. A little apology there from Azarenka. It's still probably only about 2/3 full at the moment, the Rod Laver Arena. I'm hoping that loads and loads of people will stream in after the sit down, because this match deserves a bit more of an atmosphere and a crowd than this. It's 2-love for Azarenka, 30-15 on her serve. Backhands hit shoulder high down the line by Pegula, then a cross-court backhand. What good hitting this is from the American, but Azarenka gets lucky. The ball strikes the tape of the net, it dribbles over. Pegula can't get anywhere near it, and that won't help her mood and her confidence and her to settle.
Oh, that is so irritating, isn't it? When you're just trying to make something happen, get your game going, start to sort of, you know, just create a little bit more doubt down the other end. That will just really irritate you. Nothing that Pegula could do about that. You just have to accept it and move on.
Forehand response cross-court by Pegula, then a backhand cross-court. Great hitting from her now. A little chip cross-court by Azarenka. Now she goes down the line with a pass. Volley from Pegula. Attempted pass on this stretch with the forehand from Azarenka hits the tram light. But we're seeing actually, Annabelle, I would say more variety than I was anticipating here. We're seeing sliced backhands, we're seeing approaches to the net, drop shots, volleys. It's a good watch. It
is a good watch. I agree with you. I thought we'd see sort of repetitive play with a similar type of point, you know, who could out-hit the other from the baseline, take control of it. But, you know, Azarenka, as you've been mentioning, throwing in a few sliced backhands. She's also thrown in kind of some loopier shots as well. We've seen the drop shots from Pegula and coming forward. A lot of drive volleys from Azarenka. We have seen an array of everything so far.
Back and return down the middle, Pegula. Big inside out forehand from Azarenka, who's coming in. She's got an easy put away here overhead. And Pegula tries to adjust quickly as she was being wrong-footed by that smash down the middle because she tried to retake her position. But despite playing, you know, quite well in flashes here, Pegula, she finds herself 3-love down.
Yep, she's being bossed around and was from the very word go in this match. And I think Azarenka's so smart, you know, she's imposed her character, you know, right out of the blocks. And I think she would know that the fact that Pegula is desperate to make her first semi-finals is probably the extra pressure on her to try to achieve that, and probably feels that she's going to try and take advantage of maybe some extra nerves coming into this match. And I think she's done a great job of it. And even that last serve, David, you know, it's subtle what she's doing, but that last serve was right at the body of Pegula. You know, she's making Pegula have to think about everything that's going on. She's, as I always remember those famous words that Federer said, I like to occupy the minds of my opponents. And I think Azarenka is doing...
line.
Yeah, it's a great line, isn't it? I've always thought of him saying that, because if you can do that, you know, you have great strength of character, but also you've got the tools to be able to do it. And I think Azarenka's done a good job of that so far.
Yeah, she sure has. And actually, as good as a player as Jessica Pegula clearly is, we have a ceiling here that she's yet to break through.
Yeah.
Going to be interesting to see whether she can.
Yeah, and I guess you have to also ask the question, why hasn't she broken through before? What is it? Yes, she's improved so much, but is it that mental side and the, maybe that lack of real self-confidence, real belief? It's been enough to kind of really make her headway up the rankings, but in terms of Grand Slam action, hasn't really happened. Whereas for Azarenka, obviously we've seen her out there for a number of years, but she is a two-time Grand Slam champion. She's been world number one. She believes herself and backs herself.
Yeah. Lovely forehand cross-court from Pegula. Now she chips one down the line with that shot, but what a lob from Azarenka. It's hit the baseline. Overhead from Pegula. Drive volley with the backhand by Azarenka. Lifted again by Pegula, but that's a double bounce. I mean, that is a heck of a high-quality rally from both players, because Pegula dominated the rally. Azarenka responded with a topspin lob that was perfection.
Yeah, that really was. And again, it's just another little sign that this match is just going against her for Pegula, isn't it? Everything that's happening, just the luck isn't going her way. I mean, that let cord, these balls that are hitting the back line, sometimes matches build up on you and you just think, gosh, is this just not my day? There's still plenty of time left in it for her to get going, but Azarenka making hay while the sun's shining.
Yeah, she really is. As she hits her forehand cross-court, I think she's almost enjoying the pace of the ball off Pegula as well at the moment, and Pegula's the one who's put a backhand unforced error halfway up the net. And Azarenka really is, to use that phrase, making hay while the sun shines. I mean, this is 3-love. She's got love 30 on Pegula's serve, and normally I think Pegula settles down and is okay in this scenario, but she's never been to a semi-final before of a Grand Slam. She's on the centre stage. There's no Ash Barty in the way anymore. There's no Iga Swiatek in the way anymore. She's supposed to be winning this one, so it's more difficult. Lovely forehand by Azarenka at her feet, but that's a very well controlled low ankle-high forehand volley inside out, struck onto the sideline by Pegula. She was strong there. Both in mind and in stroke.
Yeah, she was, particularly as she's probably losing a bit of confidence at the moment, but that was not an easy volley. She made it look easy, but very good techniques. And of course, as Heather was saying, she's such a great doubles player. She's always out there on the tour, week in, week out, playing doubles. So we've seen that skill right there in that beautiful volley.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Of course, playing doubles with Coco Gauff, always plays doubles, does Pegula, and Azarenka absolutely crashing an inside-out forehand away from the centre of the court, left to right, diagonally right into the corner. Winner. 2 break points.
Just beautiful. And you could almost sense how well that would have felt coming out of the strings, straight out of the middle, literally struck through the centre of that ball, and no way that was coming back.
Nice swinging serve out wide from Pegula. Saves the first of these 2 break points, and if she could find a way out of this game, it would only be a baby step, of course, but it would be quite an important one, I would suggest, because from 15-40, 2 break points down, needs some good news. And she's saved both of them. Back to deuce, ace out wide.
Yeah, this could be a bit of a turning point, couldn't it? Stop the rot for Pegula. And Azarenka is working hard, isn't she? Because she looks, I'm going to say it, pretty sweaty at the moment. Legs are absolutely glistening. I've not seen her look like this. Yeah. And it must be, is it cool or is it warm there at the moment?
I mean, it's been quite humid today, and hence we've had rainstorms and that sort of thing. But it almost looks like she's sort of got massage oil on her legs to sort of limber her up before the match.
That's exactly what I was thinking. It looks like someone has sprayed some oil on her, because she's very glistening the way her skin is looking, and not like Pegula.
No. Here's the backhand down the centre by Azarenka. Just loving the battle, I sense here, as she hits her forehand with a bit more loft and topspin this time. And it changes the trajectory, changes the pace of the rally, and actually Pegula looked like she was enjoying the ball coming onto her more than that loopier one, and she missed.
Spot on, David. And David Witt has sort of put his head down, and he knows that Pegula is getting a little bit cross with herself, that body language is going up and down, a little bit negative at the moment. She's furious with herself for missing that one, but you're right, it came off the loopier ball. She didn't like that.
Backhand cross-court again from Azarenka. This is a 3rd break point for her in the game. She already leads 3-love. That's a massive forehand cross-court by Pegula, though. And it comes out of the racket, Annabelle. She doesn't even look like she's trying to hit it that hard, but goodness me, it travels.
Well, like you said, it sort of looks disconnected from the body. It looks like it's just an arm swing. And normally you want to use your legs, use your body, and kind of like step in, and kind of everything works together. But hers is just a timing of just the arm sweeping through, and then this ball just ricochets off the racket.
Sure does. Back to deuce. This is such good play from both players at the start of this match. Very unusual to see a backhand unforced error into the net by Azarenka there. I must admit, Annabelle, if I could just hit one forehand like Jessica Pegula once in my life, I'd be happy.
Yeah, I think I would be too.
I know you can, I can't.
Well, I think I'd be happy to hit a cross-court forehand like that.
Yeah, it's quite a sight.
It's funny you talking about... sorry, David, go on.
Sorry, go on.
Well, I was just going to say, you talking about the mix of pace that Azarenka has put into this first set already, and I'm just looking at my notes about Pegula, and I've said, doesn't like mix of pace, loop or slice.
That's very interesting, Annabelle, and that's definitely tallies with what we're seeing here so far, and it suggests that maybe Victoria Azarenka is just nicked off with your notebook.
Well, I would have written that down from previous matches where she's played against somebody who has brought that into play, and it probably has gone the wrong way for her, and similar to what we're seeing here. And it's funny how, you know, that's what the game is all about, isn't it? The different styles, the different matchups, and what suits you and what doesn't. And clearly she's more of a sort of a rhythm player. So that's why I think we're seeing more variety from Azarenka, because if she plays too much of her normal game, that will play into the hands of Pegula.
Yeah, I must admit, it's what I love about the sport, really, is how a different player's style will affect an opponent that may be beating everybody else, but maybe not beat a certain one. Forehand hit down the line by Azarenka, right into the corner, and she set up a fourth break point in this game, and it's been the most stunning start from Azarenka so far. 3-11 advantage.
Yeah, it couldn't have been any better. We're just having another look at the replay, but that second serve, that was a little bit attackable, wasn't it? Didn't have too much pace on it, but also the way that it was positioned in the court, plenty of time for Azarenka to play that. Gonna have to do more with that second serve, I think.
This for 4-love for Azarenka. Backhand hit cross court, and now she'll hit another one down the line. Pegula with a beautiful forehand down the line now. She strikes a drive volley and really takes over the rally. And there wasn't much Azarenka could do about that. She didn't do too much wrong, and she still lost the point.
Yeah, great ball striking from Pegula there. And I think she just needs to get a little bit of luck here. Keep hanging in there, keep digging, scrapping, trying to gain and wrestle control of some of these baseline exchanges. Much better construction of the point there.
Backhand return down the middle by Azarenka. It's back to deuce, the fourth deuce of the game now, but Pegula's really starting to strike the ball and forcing Azarenka backwards here. And again, the luck goes against Pegula. That's the second one. It's 2-0 in favour of Azarenka now, and that's given her another break point.
Yeah, plenty to think about. She just stood and sort of looked down at her strings, started to adjust them with her fingers. And again, it came off a sliced forehand from Azarenka. So that ball, when it was landing, was just sort of veering off to the left, I think it was, wasn't it? The way that Azarenka hit it. But again, it's not a straightforward ball. It's doing something different, and she didn't like it.
Feels like quite an important game to me, this.
Very.
Azarenka crunches her backhand cross-court again. She's got break point for a fifth time in the game. Forehand cross-court from her. She already leads 3-love, not giving Pegula a moment's rest here. Backhand chip down the line now by Azarenka. Big hitting this from Pegula, and then she's hit the postage stamp cross-court with a forehand. I mean, that is utter perfection from Pegula, but she was really on the knife edge of missing. But she didn't miss. Yeah,
she didn't give herself too much margin for error with that last forehand, but I guess dialed in that last rally, went to instinct, didn't she, almost? You don't have too much time to think in many of these rallies. Just got to keep swinging, keep believing in yourself. That one just inside the back line.
Backhand in the middle from Pegula long.
Oh, that's frustrating, isn't it? Working so hard to stay in touch with this game, shrugging her shoulders, looking down at her racket, just getting a little bit negative once again. And she lifted up off that backhand. You can see she got the ball a little bit close to the body. She planted the front foot and looked balanced when she went to set up for it. But then the ball came into her body and she had to adjust and lost control.
Another break point saved, 6 in total now by Pegula, and you stick that ball on her forehand without enough on it, without forcing her backwards, and she is going to make you pay. And this is some start actually from both players. Even though Pegula hasn't got a game on the board yet, she's still playing well. 10-minute game, 6th deuce. Forehand hit down the centre by Azarenka. That's a really deep one, and a slice back then. She keeps that one low, then lifts the forehand with some more topspin. She's giving her that variety that Annabelle's book says she should employ here. Azarenka against Pegula, who likes it straight up and down the middle, really. She hits a little drop shot of her own, Pegula. In comes Azarenka. She scoops it up. It goes onto the sideline, but there's the pass by Pegula. Another great rally. Crowd really enjoying this.
Beautiful rally, really competitive, using the full width of the court, all the geometry on there as well. Nice little drop shot from Pegula, bringing Azarenka forward. And that passing shot wasn't easy, actually, to finish that rally off. Pegula had to really sort of drop the racket head, brush up underneath it, find the gap down the line. That'll make her feel good.
That was well constructed, and it's followed up by an ace down the middle, and there's the hold of serve. Despite facing all of those break points, that was such a big deal for Pegula. I mean, who knows whether she'll end up winning the match, but you know, if you go and get yourself down by 2 breaks and 4 love when you're actually playing quite well, that would be a bit of a heartbreaker, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But she saved 6 out of 7 break points in the match, just the one that she couldn't.
I don't know if you noticed, Pegula's got this sort of, it looks like a bingo number, and I've never seen this before, but big number 3 on the side of her skirt, but I presume it's her ranking?
No, it's actually, it's the number of the Buffalo Bills NFL player who
is that what you mentioned earlier?
Cardiac arrest, yeah. And she hits the inside-out backhand for a clean winner. Yeah, she's just showing her solidarity and her support for him. And we were hearing earlier on that's from Courtney that he has actually been in touch with her and giving her some words of support, because you know her parents own the Buffalo Bills NFL team, and I know how worried she was, and it was a pretty devastating time. That game cancelled at the time between Cincinnati Bengals and Buffalo Bills because there was such concern over his health, and she was watching from the tournament that she was at. But yeah, she's wearing his number 3 on her skirt in order to show her support. Here's the backhand cross court from Pegula, and we're back to 15-all, 3-1 Azarenka.
Yeah, it feels as if things have changed just a little bit, haven't they? It's just so important for her to have got that last game. It just shifts the psychology on the first set. I mean, things were going away from her so quickly, so she's definitely sort of managed to draw a full stop to that run of games.
Drop shot attempt by Azarenka, netted. Wonder whether, I mean, there must be a bit of a danger for Azarenka. I can't imagine she can play much better than this.
That's what I was thinking.
And you know, she's raced away to this lead, but you've kind of got to make your money whilst the going's good, haven't you?
Yeah, I was with you.
The chances are you're not going to keep that up forever.
Yeah, I was thinking exactly that. You know, gosh, she couldn't have played any better, and the only way to go from there is to sort of slightly come down the mountain a little bit. And Pegula will be sensing that.
Forehand lofted this time by Pegula from the far end and right onto the baseline. Big hitting from Azarenka. Now cross court forehand from her. She's doing well with the angles here. She's underneath the drive volley, and she so rarely misses a drive volley. Really, I suppose that's in the upbringing, isn't it, Annabelle? The players like Azarenka, they must hit 1,000 of those every couple of weeks.
Oh, definitely. I mean, she's one of the best drive volleyers in the women's game, and she just never doubts herself. I don't think I've ever really seen her miss one. She just loves to take that ball out of the air, and it's also the ability to move forward. She knows exactly what damage has been done by her previous ground stroke and knows when to move forward and try to take even more time away.
Forehand hit down the line by Azarenka. Backhand crashed cross-court by Pegula, but long. And this is 40-30 Azarenka, who's done a good job to just reset a little bit, hasn't she, after... I mean, I always think of it as the disappointment of not breaking when you've had 6 break points, but players like Azarenka, I get the sense they're made of such tougher stuff than me.
Yeah.
She wouldn't feel anything.
I think she just resets, doesn't she? And head down, focus, concentration, the intensity is there. And she's doing such a good job of taking the ball early. And she's up on that baseline. She's really moving that ball around. And she is dictating and winning that battleground at the moment. And Pegula just stepping inside the baseline here for this second serve. She's going to try and get control from this moment.
Big backhand cross-court long by Azarenka, and she's just sort of swaying to and fro as if to say maybe she over-rotated as she hit that ball or something like that.
Yeah, well, Pegula was trying to take that ball early as well, and you can see there's a lot of little things going on the court, trying to, try to be in charge. But one thing we've always known about Azarenka is she hates to be pushed behind the baseline. She wants to be up on it, taking that ball early. And that's clever use of the serve again, David. She's really subtly kind of going into the body of Pegula quite a bit, just to tuck her up and not allow her to get those big swings and good strikes off return of serve to get the rally going on her terms early on. Really good serving, clever use of her serve.
Fold.
Thuds into the top of the net, that serve from Azarenka, and goes wide.
I'm always fascinated by the fact that her ball toss is really veering off to the right quite a bit, and yet she still goes after it. Well, that was too far off to the right, wasn't it? Double fault.
Yeah, just a little bit different now, this, isn't it? She was 3-love Azarenka. She had 6 opportunities to take a 4-love lead. She was playing out of her mind, and now it's 3-1 juice. Azarenka serving, second juice of this game. Body serve from her. Now a forehand cross court that Pegula reaches, and she goes cross court with her own big forehand. Then down the line, Azarenka meets her with a backhand. Oh, that's absolutely perfect length. And she's hit the line, the baseline. I kind of feel like toe to toe. I don't have statistics on how fast the actual forehands and backhands are going. I kind of feel as though the ball goes through the air a little bit quicker from Pegula, but the intensity and the length of shot, the depth of shot from Azarenka is superior.
Oh, it's incredible, isn't it? And that ball right there, it's almost as if, when players practice, they put a can down, don't they? And see if you can hit the can, and you'd put it in the corner there to sort of practice, to give yourself a little bit of margin for error, but just keep being consistent. I feel like Azarenka would hit the cans almost every time she's hitting the ball.
Yeah, she's held for 4-1, and Pegula looks really irritated by it all, because it's just not quite going as she is used to it going. I mean, that's the other thing, isn't it, Annabelle? Pegula's unbeaten really this year, and she's just thrashed Iga Swiatek at the United Cup. She's been losing a handful of games all tournament long, and then suddenly you run into a player who is not just rolling over for you. I mean, not to say that players rolled over, that's not the right way to put it, but she was just demolishing people. And yes, Barbora Krejcikova gave her a good test in the previous round, but Azarenka is a different story altogether today, and it must be a bit of a shock when you're used to winning all the time.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because you get into that sort of role where you're just in rhythm, you're sort of applying a certain formula, and it seems to be working against everybody. And as you said, I mean, her form, that win over Swiatek coming into the championships, it suddenly put a lot more pressure on her shoulders as to, right, well, you're actually one of the big players and big names going in to possibly win this title here this week, but you're right, up against Azarenka, it's a whole different kettle of fish because, you know, she's got such conviction and belief in her own ability. And, you know, it's all about the psychology, really, isn't it? It's the mindset. And it's also, as we keep saying, does she believe it herself? And at the moment, we're not really seeing that, are we? She's not the one bossing and bullying. She's not standing tall. She's actually showing signs of stress, frustration, irritation. And Azarenka's got too much experience at this level and in this kind of situation.
Really good start to this match, though. Enjoying it immensely. I mean, 34 minutes long. The quality has been high from both players, and it's starting to fill up a bit more now, this arena. And I hope it goes on long enough to be an absolutely packed house, because I think there are still people coming in as the forehands hit cross court from Pegula. I just get the sense that these two could put on an incredible spectacle because they're very closely matched.
They are, and I think even though the scoreline is quite one-sided, as you've been saying, you know, the quality of the ball striking and some fantastic rallies and different types of ways to win a point that we've been witnessing, this crowd can be really enjoying what they're witnessing out here.
Serve kicks up high from Pegula, and now she chips at a forehand that floats down the centre. Inside out, backhand struck by Azarenka. She'll wind up into a forehand, hits that down the line. She's 15 love down, hitting a low backhand volley, and that's brilliantly done. Right into the corner, and Pegula scrambling to her right, can't get it back in court, and she just sighed as she ran to her right there, Pegula, Annabelle. I mean, at the moment, she looks a little bit like she's looked against Iga Swiatek and Ash Barty in her other quarterfinals. Just outplayed.
Yeah, she is being outplayed, and I think that volley was absolutely superb, wasn't it? Coming forward, low volley, quality shot.
Backhand sliced into the net this time by Azarenka when she was on the run.
Yeah, I think the unforced error count must be so low from Azarenka. She's hardly given her anything to play with. Just totally turning on the screw all the time.
Been a pro now for 15 years, Victoria Azarenka, 33 years of age. She was world number one 11 years ago for the first time. And backed it up the following year as well as she hits her backhand down the centre, nice and deep. She's 30-15 down, huge forehand cross court by Pegula, but it's scoots back by Azarenka. Now she tries to pass, but she hits the tape of the net. Wasn't far away from Azarenka, who's seems to be quite happy to turn to the slice, whether it be on the forehand or the backhand, to diffuse what's coming her direction.
Yeah, that cross-court forehand of Pegula is absolutely breathtaking to watch, isn't it? Again, it's just a sort of an armed shot, and yet the ball just travels through the air so quickly, but it's also the width that she creates with it. So that in itself pulled Azarenka out wide, forcing her onto that sort of choppy slice forehand, the squash shot, as we say. But the Pegula forehand, I have to say, is really impressive.
Sure is. Double fault from her, though. She goes to 40-30. It's 4-1 Azarenka, and Azarenka's ranking took a significant dip in 2018 because she just wasn't able to play any tennis. She had her son Leo, and there was a custody battle, basically, which resulted in her not being able to leave home throughout that period as she slices her backhand into the net, and Pegula holds onto a serve. 4-2 ahead now. Azarenka, who sort of slowly rebuilt her ranking. I mean, she went down to 208 in 2017, and then she was ranked around the 50s in 2018 and 2019. And there was a period, Annabelle, where, and it's an age-old problem for players when they're entering Grand Slams and not seeded. She would end up against top players in the first round and often not walk away with hardly any points.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it, when your ranking drops like that and you feel like you should be beating certain people, but yeah, you're always up against tough players, and it gets even more difficult to get the ranking up.
Underneath the lob is Azarenka, drive volleying here, but Pegula reaches it. She can't get the ball back over the net this time, though. 4-2 Azarenka, 15 love, and her level just isn't dropping.
Yeah, this is some of the best tennis I've seen from her for a while, actually, probably since she reached that US Open final back in 2020. And she's always there or thereabouts. isn't she? You write her off at your peril. You're sort of thinking that she's going to drop away at some point, but no, she just keeps on coming back.
Hits a big forehand down the line. Pegula with her backhand cross court, then tries to go straight through the middle, but that really plays into Azarenka's hands with an inside-out forehand, who hits a lovely backhand slice. Both players hitting that shot beautifully, and then the yelp you heard was from Azarenka in frustration because she didn't handle that backhand slice from Pegula at all well and lifted the backhand long.
No, I'm not surprised she didn't handle it well. It was a knifed shot that stayed so low, and I think Azarenka really needed to slice it back, because to try and get your racket head underneath a slice like that that's coming with venom, it's attacking, it's staying low, almost impossible. So she needed to really slice it back again. So to try and attempt that topspin, she lost control of it.
Annabel Croft here with us on BBC Sounds at the Australian Open, as we are in the quarter-final stages now of this tournament, as 39 minutes have passed and Victoria Azarenka has a 4-2 30-15 lead. Stefanos Tsitsipas against Yuri Lehechka to follow this match here on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. Take us with you wherever you go on BBC Sounds if you'd like to listen to our commentary. Forehand return down the middle by Pegula, who's 30-15 and 4-2 behind. She chips her backhand cross court, floats it into the corner. Now she hits the backhand on the line, but really isn't changing necessarily from slice to backhand drive that effectively. And she's turning around here to her coach David Witt, and she really looks a little bit bereft as to what's going on out there, Pegula.
Yeah, and it's so negative, isn't it? And we've been saying how wonderfully positive she is, how relaxed she is, but things are not going her way, and she looks exasperated. She looks like she doesn't know what to do tactically, and that was almost looking like she was ready for an argument there.
Yeah.
Almost wanting to say, look, hand the racket across, can you come out here and do it, because I really don't know what's going on.
Yes. Azarenka throwing the ball toss up quite high and far to her right there, and almost having to chase the ball, lean across in order to hit it, and it goes into the net. Now she hits that shot again. It means that she always slices the serve pretty much when she throws it over there, and into the forehand corner goes Pegula, absolutely cracking the ball here down the line. That's a dismissive Pegula winner. What a shot that was. That was like a tracer bullet going from that forehand over the net into the corner.
Oh my goodness, there was a lot of frustration and irritation that went behind that one. Didn't give it much thought, she just lined it up, and you're right. I mean, the way the ball came off the racket, she kind of used a bit more wrist on it and accelerated into it. Good follow through. One took Azarenka by surprise.
This for 5-2
Fault.
for Azarenka at 40-30.
That ball toss is all over the place from Azarenka. That first serve nearly hit the baseline.
Yeah, she doesn't really seem to know where it's going to go from one serve to the next as she hits her backhand long. Azarenka back to juice. Is that something you've noticed with her in the past on the ball toss, Annabel?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, she has, it's a long time ago now, had serving problems herself, but she sort of got it back on track. But I have noticed it during this tournament that it's a little bit wayward, and when she straightens it up, it's fine. I mean, she can make the serves when she's a little bit... Do you remember when Ivanovic had that ball toss that was going off to the right and she'd still hit it? And sometimes she'd hit aces with it, but she really didn't know how to control it. And, yeah, Azarenka's just something to keep an eye on, I think.
What a shot from Azarenka that is. I mean, she's just hit... I don't know whether she hit it completely cleanly, but a really looped up high, almost like a lob forehand that landed on the baseline that Pegula took on the rise to get back. But then Azarenka just stepped in and walloped it into the corner, about a centimetre inside the baseline.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Both feet off the ground as she's hitting that one, and we're seeing it on the replay, launching herself into it.
No break points faced yet by Azarenka in this match. 4-2, this for 5-2. Backhand cross court by Pegula. Great shot from her now, follows it up with a volley. And the forehand.
Yeah, that was a nice volley, wasn't it? We've been talking about drive volleys so much, but that was a bit more traditional from Pegula. It's always nice to see a player kind of cut underneath it, and it's really smooth, punched into the open space. It looked very solid on that forehand volley.
Forehand return cross-court by Pegula, then backhand down the centre from her. Hooks cross-court forehand by Azarenka. They're trading cross-court forehands, trying to set up that first break point of the match is Pegula here. Can she do so? Backhand cross-court from her. Met in kind with a huge backhand cross-court, but wide by Azarenka. And here is that break point that Pegula's been waiting for.
Well, you have to admire the way Pegula has applied herself to this set, despite the fact that it hasn't gone her way. The way things have been unfolding, she hasn't stopped trying to dig and scrap and find a way to get back involved, and this is a big moment right here.
That's a good serve out wide from Azarenka, and the drive volley once more, wrong foot in Pegula. She's so clever with that shot, because Pegula stretching out wide to her left, then does what you do. She hurtled back into the centre of the court and about to try to be ready for the next one, and Azarenka just rolled the drive volley behind her.
Well, this is what great players do, isn't it? They just never back away from a situation. They just take it to you, no matter what the scoreline is, even if she's break point down. You know, that's a really strong mindset.
Mid-court forehand, Azarenka. Inside out, puts it away. She has the advantage now for 5-2.
Well, showing great mental strength here. Tricky moment for her. This is the most difficult moment that she's faced in the set so far. Coming up trumps, it looks.
She only won 5 more points in the match than her opponent, but they all feel like they've been the important ones. Azarenka with a point for 5-2. Serves down the centre, but again that serve is way in front of her and she's sort of chasing it, and it leads to it going long. Second one onto the backhand side. Azarenka with a cross-court forehand, nice and deep, and a shanked forehand by Pegula. You heard that noise of graphite on tennis court because that was Jessica Pegula just smacking it into the ground in frustration. 5-2, when really she'll be thinking, I should be at 4-3 right now.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised she should be thinking that, because you know, she was pretty close to getting back involved in this first set. She certainly gave Azarenka a lot more stress down the other end to be thinking about in that last game, but yeah, as I said, she just came up trumps in that game. Everything she's doing out here has been pretty perfect, hasn't it, Azarenka? I mean, she's not only timing the ball so beautifully, clean ball striking, confident, you know, asserting herself, but then she's also played with a lot of variety as well, and the whole combination so far has been working. And I think you add to that the serve, where I think she served really well, even though that ball toss is a little bit off to the right. You know, she's using her serve really effectively, very clever, mixes of pace, accuracy sometimes, into the body, and keeping Pegula guessing all the time. Pegula's out of the chair quickly here. Azarenka's still sitting there. Pegula wants to get on with it. She's already up on the baseline, ready to go.
Yeah, no messing. And which, I wonder whether she needs to try to really think about what's going on, because this is going quickly, and she needs to change something. Either Azarenka needs to dip, or Pegula needs to find some way to change the feel of this match, because at the moment, in the toe-to-toe exchanges, Azarenka seems to have a little too much variety, a little bit too much know-how almost on this stage. Two-5, Pegula. Forehand hit cross-court by Azarenka, who is the twice former champion, but she was the underdog before this match because her opponent is playing so well. Huge ground strokes going back and forth, and Azarenka's backhand just searing pace about an inch above the net, and it rushed Pegula into error on the forehand, cross-court wide.
That was beautiful, wasn't it? She just took the pace that had come at her, and she sort of almost hunched her shoulders as she hit that, but she held on to that ball and just sent it back, and it really felt very solid coming out of the strings.
Yeah, she absorbed the big shot from Pegula, and it ended up being even quicker on the way back. Here's her forehand return. That's a double fault by Pegula, and she's throwing those sort of things in at the worst possible time.
Yeah, I think it's just stress, isn't it? Because we know Azarenka's a great return of server, and she knows that Azarenka's going to be breathing down her neck. If she doesn't get a good deep second serve in, it's going to be punished, and that in itself is forcing the double fault.
2 points away from the set now, Azarenka. Pegula serves onto the forehand, crashed back cross-court by Azarenka, off the top of the net by Pegula. Inside that forehand with loads of slice from Azarenka, and finally a little bit of luck goes the way of Pegula, maybe off the top of the net there, and a wry smile from Azarenka because she couldn't quite manipulate that ball back after it hit the net.
Yeah, I think she felt a little bit sluggish getting up to that one. Always difficult off a let cord. Couldn't control it, swiped across the ball.
Forehand down the line by Pegula. Now she'll slice her backhand again and drift it long, and that's a real unforced error. I don't really think of her as a player who would throw in a backhand slice unless she's on the defence or outstretched wide, and that one didn't work. Set point Azarenka. Backhand return long.
Yeah, she didn't have time to even swing on that backhand, did she? Bunted it back. Didn't even have a follow-through on that backhand. She kind of stabbed at it.
Striding around. Set point still, and this one goes into the net as well with the forehand. If Pegula could just dig herself out of trouble here in this game, and at least make her opponent serve for it, who knows?
Fault.
That one was about a centimetre away from the ace that she was looking for. Pegula down the centre service line, serves the second one onto the backhand, inside out, struck by Azarenka, but too much on it, and she's sort of quite accepting of her errors, Azarenka, because she knows she needs to swing.
Yeah, that's 3 points back to back where she hasn't been able to make the return of serve, and it's just been one serve, a stabbed return, and missed.
Forehand return down the middle by Azarenka. Now she'll hit her forehand down the line. That will be met by backhand down the line by Pegula, but long, and the ball smacks into our commentary box window at the back of the court here. And Pegula is just a picture of frustration, really. She's usually so serene in her body language, but it's just not happening at the moment.
No, she's not a bundle of joy at the moment.
Deuce. 2-5, Pegula serving. Ace. Down the middle.
Well, that looked very smooth, didn't it? Really beautiful, straight ball toss. Very difficult to read which direction that serve was going to go, but wow, that was right in the corner.
Winner will face Elena Rybakina, the Wimbledon champion, who defeated Yelena Ostapenko earlier today. Backhand cross-court, deeply struck by Pegula. Now forehand down the centre by Azarenka. She's up on her toes with those white and pink shoes of hers. She runs around to hit a forehand cross-court, long. So, 2 set points saved by Pegula, and she forces her opponent after 53 minutes to serve for that set.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's kind of teetering at the moment. You feel like, you know, this set's by no means gone. because particularly as Pegula is coming from a much lower level than Azarenka, and if she starts to just creep up in level, that will completely shift the whole balance of how this match is. So it's teetering at the moment.
Azarenka at 5-3, serving for the set. Good first serve, and it gets the error she wants, drifting wide with a backhand return. Nod of the head by Azarenka as she asks for the ball to be thrown at her. She wants 3 of them in total. She pats one of them back and then another one back. I think, are they looking to see which one might be the fastest through the air, least fluff on it or something like that? I don't know. Annabelle will tell me in a minute. Backhand return down the centre by Pegula. Forehand down the centre by Azarenka. Maybe she's just superstitious. Backhand into the net from Azarenka at 15 all. Well, that ball didn't work. Annabelle, chuck that one away, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think all players are pretty superstitious, aren't they?
Were you?
Yeah, I was actually. Yeah, I try not
what
to
did
be
you used
now.
To do?
Oh, I always used to try and wear the same outfit and then same shower, same loo, same routine, not step on the lines, same chair at this change of ends, you know, lots of things. You just yeah, it's just like you just get into your head all these patterns and then you want to keep the pattern going. It's really weird. I try to be the opposite now. Like, how on earth did that control me for so many years?
Yeah, you're right though. Happens for so many players. Even the great Rafael Nadal. We always see him avoiding the lines as he's walking back to his chair. Forehand cross court by Azarenka. Now forehand down the line from her. Pegula hits her backhand slice. It's 15 all. It's 5-3 Azarenka. She hits an absolutely world-class backhand on the line, Azarenka. That's the shot that has been winning her Grand Slam titles over the years, and it's still very much in place.
Oh, it really is. 13-shot rally there, and it's worth just describing this backhand again. It's just the way she sort of danced back with the feet, very nice and light on her toes, to then reposition herself. She was following the flight of the ball and then balanced up, you know, got the feet set as she lined the backhand up and nailed it down the line.
Pretty full crowd now. There are some blue seats at the very back that I can see, but it's a good atmosphere now, and they know what they're watching here. Served down the middle by Azarenka, blasted back at her by Pegula. Really does have firepower in those ground strokes. She's in charge of this rally. She's forcing Azarenka back, who's hitting a slice forehand on the defence. And long no goes Pegula, and that will just drive her around the bend, Annabelle, because she's trying so hard to play the sort of tennis that has been beating everybody else, but some of her shots are missing, and they don't normally, and that one missed by 8 millimetres.
Yeah, but it came off the slice forehand again, and I don't think Azarenka necessarily had to hit the slice there. She sort of didn't have too much time for it, but normally she would hit that slice if she was pulled out wide, but she hit it from a more central ball. I think she could have topspinned it if she wanted to, but she threw in that slice and it got the error. And it seems
set point again. Azarenka with a serve down the centre, off the back of the edge of the line from Pegula. Forehand lofted from her now, and hit back down the centre off the top of the net by Azarenka. Down the centre she goes with her shots. Now a backhand cross court from her on set point. She winds into the forehand, but that one looks like it might drop out. No, it doesn't. It lands on the line. Now forehand on the line from her. Oh, what a shot by Pegula to save set point. A backhand down the line, and we hear her voice to see how much that meant to her. And after 57 minutes, the quality of this match is going through the roof.
Yeah, wow. Take your breath after that last rally. Really intense hitting, and once again it's Azarenka who's up on the baseline, slightly closer to it, but it's Pegula who finds the wrong footer. Azarenka staring down at the back line.
Still set point.
It's getting a bit edgy, isn't it?
It sure is. Forehand off the back foot by Azarenka. She just finds the court. Now a lofted forehand by Pegula. Then she hits the missile down the line. In charge is Pegula. Drive volleys into the corner. And Pegula's finding her best stuff just when she needs it most. 4 set point save now. This is Juice.
Now that gets the applause from David Witt, her coach, sitting up there very calmly. He never changes his expression. Seen it all, done it all. And I'm sure he's happy to see his player just starting to find her level. She's getting her teeth stuck into this set. It's definitely not over yet. Finding it
serve out wide from Azarenka. Sorry, Annabelle is hit just wide.
Yeah, she's just finding it hard to close this set down, isn't she? She's going to start getting a bit stressed, I think, if she doesn't get this game.
Yeah, 5-3. Juice, she's had 4 set points now. She's in a double fault, Annabelle.
And that ball toss was way out to the right, sliced right round the outside of it. Her support camp are, well, one looked like he was chewing his nails, and they've folded their arms and they're getting a bit twitchy up there. This is not getting any easier, is it, David?
No, absolutely. She just wants to get over the line somehow, does Azarenka, and you're right. If she doesn't win this set from here, she's had 4 set points. She led 5-2. She's 5-3 up now. It's advantage to Pegula. Break point for Pegula, who hits a massive forehand down the centre, then cross court with that shot. It's really driving Azarenka backwards, and she's hitting a backhand slice, floating it. Will it land in? Yes. Now she moves to her left and hits another backhand slice. It's all Pegula here. She hits a forehand cross court, trying to break back, and onto the baseline goes the Azarenka forehand, then down the line off the top of the net. She'll now attack a big forehand inside out, hits the net again and goes wide, and Azarenka must be wondering, why is this net against me? But Pegula has earned that. She's broken back. She saved 4 set points. It's back on serve, and it's 4-5 now.
Well, what a turnaround, David. I mean, I can't quite believe what we're witnessing. I mean, the level is just going up and up and up, and much of that because Pegula is really starting to get into this first set. And what a huge change in the way that last point was played, with Pegula taking charge, getting Azarenka much more defensive. She's starting to play the way that we've seen her throughout the course of these championships, and starting to show what she's made of, what she's got in her tank at her disposal, and it's definitely having an impact. I'd almost go as far as to say that my money would be on Pegula to be able to come back in this set now, but let's see what happens, whether Azarenka can readjust and reset after that game. But she will be bitterly disappointed sitting down here.
Yeah. Big game coming up here though, in as much as Azarenka is still only 1 game away from the set. She's returning this time, but she can maybe have a swing here. Yes,
she can. I think just psychologically, though, things are shifting, aren't they? I mean, she's not going to get as many free points the way that she has done. And Pegula definitely will get a lift. And I think her body language itself has changed again. You know, she went into the real doldrums earlier on in this set, didn't she? And looked like she was really frustrated, irritated. You know, just getting very negative. But I think she'll be thinking that she's back in this set and the set's not done.
Yeah. 60 minutes exactly on the clock now. What a set. What a set of tennis. This has been the best set of tennis I've seen in the women's draw this fortnight. One of the best sets I've seen in total. 2 players going toe-to-toe and very, very closely matched. 2 points between them. 42-1 by Azarenka, 40 by Pegula, and Pegula's now hitting her forehand cross court to narrow that to just 1 point between them. And at 4-5, 15 love, as Annabelle said, it's starting to feel as though she's becoming the better player here.
Well, matches develop a rhythm, and you know, one thing as a player, you can feel when the rhythm is going against you, and what Pegula has done is wrestled it back into her control.
Yeah, forehand for her to hit here. Ooh, she's hit the top of the net. She tried to go over the high part of the net from her backhand corner with her forehand, so it's what they call the inside-in forehand in the tennis circles, and that one, well, she didn't quite get it right, about an inch below the tape of the net. And so 15 all here on the Pegula serve. 4-5 down. She'll hit the forehand down the centre here. She almost stumbled a bit there, Pegula, and it's given Azarenka a chance to attack and hit a lovely backhand volley cross court for a winner to move 15-30 up, Annabelle. And going forwards, maybe is the trump card for Azarenka to take the initiative back here.
Yes, she did well with such great depth, and as you say, pushing Pegula defensively and then knowing when to come forward. And what a stunning volley that was. She's volleyed so beautifully in this match. That was too good.
Here's a forehand inside out struck by Pegula, who slices a backhand, and now is a backhand down the line by Azarenka. She's coming in again, low forehand volley from her. Pegula will reach it, lift a lob, but that is going to be Azarenka's point, and she's showing the value of going to the net and being comfortable and confident whilst up there. And despite being broken back in the previous game, Azarenka has 2 more set points.
Well, what a response from her after the disappointment of that last game. I didn't see this. I thought Pegula would be the one coming back. And, you know, she's played really top-class tennis in those last 3 points to get herself into set point position again.
Yeah, this has been a brilliant response from Azarenka. 5-2 up she was, it's now 5-4, but she has set point for a 5th time. Forehand return down the centre by her, then a backhand down the middle. Pegula's quite happy to go toe-to-toe though. She hits a big forehand, but that goes long. Azarenka has the set. Marching back to the chair, winning that first set by 6-4 after more than an hour. But that was a treat to watch, Annabelle.
Oh, it really was. Such great tennis, such great rallies, lots to admire, particularly from Azarenka. Glimpses of what Pegula could do. I have to be honest, at the previous change of ends, David, I would have said my money was on Pegula to maybe come back and win that set. So, I mean, top marks to Azarenka, the way she got back control to get that set under her belt. And also from love 15 down in that last game, I thought, oh, this is drifting away from her. But we're just having a quick look at the stats, which are up on the big screen, I think, in the arena. But first serve percentage, Azarenka quite low, actually, 55%. Pegula's is higher than that. All the aces came from Pegula's racket, none for Azarenka. But, you know, what a start. I mean, she came out of the block so quickly and really stamped authority and had to really work hard to close out the set. It was getting very edgy, but that just showed great mental strength.
Yeah, sure did. Shishi, we got a good one on here. An hour of play, just over. 6-4 first at Azarenka, and it does not feel over by any stretch.
Yeah, it doesn't. A look of relief on Azarenka's face as she broke for that first set. You are listening to Tennis Breakfast. It's 9:20 in the morning on a Tuesday, and this is day 9 of the Australian Open.
Welcome to Tennis Breakfast, live from Melbourne on 5 Sports Extra.
And as you wake up this morning, results for you. The Wimbledon champion Elena Rybakina, the 22nd seed, has booked her place in the Australian Open semi-finals with a straight set 6-2, 6-4 win over Yelena Ostapenko. Karen Khachanov came through against Seb Korda. Korda having to retire with a wrist problem. So it's back-to-back consecutive Grand Slam semi-finals for the Russians. So disappointment for Korda, but he did speak in press afterwards about the positives he can take.
There's a lot of positives. I mean, way more positives than even negatives. I mean, today was tough, but hopefully it's nothing serious, and I can take care of it so I don't have it in the future. Like I said, I don't know what it is, but yeah, obviously a lot of positives. Still a great tournament, my first quarterfinal in a Grand Slam, and you know, I'm going to go forward with my head high and keep working.
We wish Seb Korda a speedy recovery. Over in the wheelchair singles, Alfie Hewitt beat Japan's Daisuke Ara in straight sets. He set up a quarter-final meeting against Gordon Reid. And let me just tell you that on court now, the quad wheelchair singles quarter-finals, Andy Lapthorne's taking on David Wagner. And Wagner is 2-love early stages. And in the first round, the women's wheelchair singles, Lucy Shuka has lost the first set to the second seed Yui Kamiji by 6-love, and she's a breakdown in the early stages of the second. Tennis Breakfast with you, covering the night session. Back to the events on the Rod Laver Arena. The second set of Pegula Azarenka in the company of Annabelle Croft and correspondent Russell Fuller.
And Jessica Pegula is still looking very unimpressed with life and with herself, hitting a forehand over the baseline there. She must, though, secretly be super impressed with the way Victoria Azarenka played that first set. 30-love on the Belarusian serve, the 24th seed coming up against the 3rd seed. Azarenka, 2 times a champion here, taking the first set 6-4 and making a good start to this 2nd set as well. She was just magnificent in that first set, particularly in the first 4 games. Extraordinary level from Azarenka, but it's not really dipped very much at all, and that's a service winner to move to 40 love and 3 game points. And Pegula is really, really up against it here. The first Grand Slam quarter-final, I think, where she's been the favourite, and that may also be preying on her mind slightly. Forehand wide from Pegula, and Annabelle, she made no impact whatsoever on the Azarenka serve in that game.
No, that was weird, wasn't it? I was expecting her to kind of reset and come out to try and really sort of get stuck in at the beginning of this 2nd set to send the messages down to Azarenka. But no, that was pretty limp first game, wasn't it? And more looks towards her coach, David Widd, up in the box. And, you know, tactically, I guess she's just got to come out and execute the sort of style that she has, but hope that and by staying in the rallies longer, by taking control the way she did to get back into that first set, she can create some doubt with Azarenka. But at the moment, Azarenka's just marching around. She's imposing herself. I mean, she's going to be tough to stop in this match.
Pegula serving at love 1 then, her first Grand Slam quarter-final 2 years ago here, lost to Jen Brady, won the first set. That was the quarter-final in which she was most competitive, but by her own admission probably wasn't quite ready at that stage. It was uncharted territory for her. She's won the first point here. She's forced Azarenka to go wide with the forehand, and then after that she played Ash Barty here last year in the quarter-finals. Very one-sided contest. Was thrashed by Iga Swiatek at Roland Garros last year, and then in a slightly tighter match, but albeit in straight sets, lost to Swiatek in the quarter-finals of the US Open. So it's not like she's had a glaring opportunity to win one of these matches yet. And when you're up against someone like Azarenka, a 2-time champion, again, it's not a gimme by any stretch of the imagination as Azarenka goes wide, but she's the higher ranked player. She's been talking as if she feels very confident. She says she doesn't feel like she's a favourite, even though she's the top seed left in, because there are other players who've done so many amazing things, and she would have had Azarenka of one of those in mind. But she'll know that the expectations from elsewhere are that she wins this match. Good return here by Azarenka, and the forehand is long from Pegula.
Yeah, maybe she's just got a personality, because she's quite understated, isn't she? She's not somebody who walks into stadiums and raises her arms and kind of laps up applause or anything. She's kind of quite shy, head down, very grounded, very well liked by all her peers. We saw that when the two of them kind of high-fived each other ahead of this match. But maybe she's just uncomfortable with being that high seed left in the draw. You know, she's just not enjoying that position. Some people don't like it.
Good serve there from Pegula, but she's missed a forehand from the baseline. She's gone long, so it's 30 all now. She certainly, when I spoke to her the other day, gave the impression of somebody who was fairly carefree, but who knows how she's really feeling behind the scenes heading into this match. Certainly, I mean, there's 2 factors. I think mostly the way Victoria Azarenka has played has been so stupendously good that it doesn't really matter who you are, you're going to be struggling to stay in touch. But she has made more mistakes than she would expect. That was a forced error on the forehand as Azarenka jammed her into the forehand corner. Pegula's gone long again, and this is a break point for Azarenka for a set and a 2-love lead.
Yeah, Pegula just stood there for a moment and was staring down the court like, where did that come from? Why was I not ready for it? And she was just late on it.
Backhand from Pegula, she's break point down. The forehand from Pegula down the centre. Slice backhand Azarenka. Pegula with the forehand again, straight down the middle. Now a little bit of width and an error from Pegula as she goes for the forehand to the Azarenka forehand. And again, really disintegrated there from 30 love. Azarenka breaks for 2 love. And Jessie Pegula, I'm sorry to say, has a face like a very cold Tuesday in Salford.
Yeah, like thunder, actually. Well, it's surprising, isn't it? Just, again, the Azarenka slice backhand thrown into the middle of that rally. And then sometimes for players, when you like to be a rhythm player, if you're suddenly going from dropping the racket head below the height of the ball for a slice, and then you come back to hit it as a normal forehand, it all feels a bit clunky. And I think these errors are being drawn out by just subtle intersperses of changes and mix of pace from Azarenka.
Azarenka leading then, 6-4, 2-love. She's serving now.
Second serve.
Oh, that ball toss well out to the right. This will be interesting where this next one goes, but it's been drifting out all match.
This serve is onto the backhand of Pegula, the backhand from Azarenka. Pegula's backhand, Azarenka with a forehand, Pegula with a forehand to the Azarenka forehand. Pegula straight back to the forehand of Azarenka. These being hit very centrally in this rally. The backhand from Azarenka, the backhand from Pegula, slice backhand from Azarenka. A forehand now from Azarenka cross court. Forehand with a bit of air from Azarenka. It just lands in and that's netted. Rather, it's a drop shot. A little bit of confusion. Now, I'm laughing because we lost our effects briefly in the commentary box. So I started commentating off the television that we have here. There's a slight delay, as you know, Annabelle. And then I think the effects came back on midpoint. And I suddenly realised I had to switch back to what was in front of me. And in the time it took for me to take my eyes off the screen and move to the court in front of me, the point ended.
Yeah, unusual drop shot that, wasn't it? Sort of a weird one. It didn't have any height on it. It didn't really... Well, it died on the other end, but it was quite a deep drop shot, but with slice on it. And she's standing...
2-love, love 15.
Inside the baseline now. Pegula trying to attack this second serve.
Hits the backhand down the line. It's well placed, doesn't give it everything. And Azarenka is rallying comfortably for a moment, but that's a forehand with a little bit more authority by Jessie Pegula.
It's so much better when she's up inside the baseline hitting these ground strokes and trying to create the width, and particularly when she goes back behind Azarenka. That has caught her out quite a few times. Good preparation, weight transference, just sort of staying with that ball.
Love 30, Azarenka. Forehand return from Pegula, just missing. She went cross-court with the forehand, aiming for the very corner of the court and just going a little bit too long. This is quite a service game for Victoria Azarenka. Chance to go 3-love in front. That's the position she had in the first set, and even though it was far from straightforward from that position, she took it by 6 games to 4. Forehand Azarenka, the backhand from Azarenka. Pegula with a forehand, Azarenka with a forehand. She's squatting to play these shots. Now she's slicing her backhand. The forehand from Pegula, the backhand just wide by Azarenka. Going cross court. For a moment, even though she didn't strike it cleanly, she thought it was just going to dive in, but instead it's 2 break-back points for the third seed.
Yeah, better point from Pegula there. Just getting the initiative, pushing Azarenka a little bit more defensively when she was having to play that slice. It wasn't on her terms. She was sort of stretching for the ball. And then that last backhand, she'd set up for it. Almost felt like she planted her feet too early and then was slightly out of position when she played the backhand.
Inside the baseline here, Azarenka coming to the net. The drive volley saves the first of 2 break points against her.
The way she hits her drive volley makes you want to go out and hit tennis balls, doesn't it? She makes it look so easy. She's like, oh, I want to have a go at that. And she really directs it. She's already made her mind up. I mean, she could go either way with the drive volley, but she never misses it and never gets it wrong.
Still 1 break point for Pegula. Forehand return from the American. Forehand Azarenka. Forehand Pegula. And that's a miss hit from Azarenka. A miscue when break point down with the backhand. She drags it wide. And Pegula, without looking particularly happy about it, and entirely convincing in the game. A little bit of a helping hand there from Azarenka. And we're back on serve now with the 2-time champion here, leading by 2 games to 1. We call her Victoria because that is her name, Annabelle, but if her parents had had their way, she'd have been called Daria.
Really?
You heard this story before?
No, I haven't.
Her grandmother overruled her parents.
Really?
And said, are you sure about that? And as a result, she was called Victoria. Her gran was a huge influence in her life.
Yeah.
She was the one who she was a notorious hard worker. She held down about 3 jobs and kept working, I think, well into her 70s. And I remember Victoria Azarenka saying once that they actually had to get her to sign a bit of paper to say, I'm not going to work anymore, because she was up at 5 in the morning to go to work.
Really?
And she certainly helped Azarenka through some difficult times when she was very disillusioned with the tour. I think just before she won the Australian Open for the first time, she thought maybe she wanted to do something else with her life, go and study. And I think Gran basically said, well, you've got this amazing talent, it's a wonderful opportunity. A working life is really, really hard. Make sure you're absolutely certain before you turn your back on this life.
Wow, what an interesting story. And how interesting that they overruled, or she overruled the parents. They must have been quite fearful of her.
It sounds like it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I didn't know grandparents had a veto in a situation like this, but I suppose pressure can be brought to bear. You can just make sure your children or your child knows that you are in absolutely no doubt that this is a bad idea.
Yeah.
And they listen to her.
Daria Azarenka, that would have been quite interesting, wouldn't it? Maybe.
Daria Azarenka, yeah. So, no great difference for me.
Nope.
Victoria's a nice name. Daria's a nice name.
And Vika,
They both
she's
end in
called,
A.
isn't she?
See, Vika works well.
Yeah.
Daza, forehand cross-court wide from Azarenka. Pegula serving now and trying to level up this second set at 2 games all. Dasher, it would be Dasher, wouldn't it, not
Yeah.
Daza.
Yeah.
Into the net, Pegula at 15 love. Second of the women's quarterfinals, the winner to play the Wimbledon champion Elena Rybakina. Forehand cross-court right into the corner by Azarenka. Now she's got the short ball. She made the opportunity and she's put that forehand away cross-court.
She's very decisive on the finish on some of these rallies. You know, often you'll see a player who have an open court and they can go either way, and sometimes they get it wrong and then the point will be extended even though they were in a winning position. But you very rarely see that with Azarenka. She sort of brings down the hammer and that's the end of the point.
Short return from Azarenka, good serve from Pegula, and the pass is wide from Azarenka. (25-9) local time inside the Rod Laver Arena. The roof is closed. I think that's the last of the rain outside. They're playing on the outside courts once again. As Pegula serves to the slice backhand of Azarenka. Short return, and Pegula has netted with a forehand from just outside the service box, and you can hear the response of the crowd. They couldn't quite believe it. And once again, Jessie Pegula has a face like thunder.
Yeah, that was a groan collectively, wasn't it, from the fans in the stadium. And no real reason to have missed that one. She sort of snatched at it slightly.
She's getting very down on herself, isn't she?
Mm.
That's been the story of the match after Azarenka's fantastic start. Backhand reply from Azarenka, trying to set up another break point here. Backhand from Pegula, just clearing the net. Azarenka with a slice backhand, which just drifts over the baseline.
Just the first time in the match that it's got a little ragged out here. The end of that first set was really intense, but suddenly the rally is just shortening up a bit. A few unforced errors creeping in.
40-30. Pegula along with the first serve, second serve, backhand Azarenka. Pegula hits the backhand to the double-handed backhand of Azarenka. Forehand Azarenka, Pegula with the backhand onto the forehand of Azarenka. Azarenka now down the line and just inside the sideline. She was dragging Pegula from one side of the court to the other, but that one was not going to be chased down.
No, again, it's just this ability to redirect the ball the way she does so effectively. A little bit more height and loft on the cross-court forehand, where Pegula had to play that was almost around head height, actually, and that in itself sort of sat up. And then Azarenka just flattening it out for the finish.
Forehand Pegula hit hard down the centre, a shank from Azarenka, which only lands about 9 inches over the baseline, but it's long nonetheless, and Pegula with a chance to hold for 2 games all, and I think she would take that, given her very scratchy start to the second set.
Yeah, that really was a shank. She just came right off that ball. It came off the bottom half of her frame. Azarenka giving her racket a long, hard stare after that.
Azarenka cross-court with a forehand. Pegula down the line. That was nicely struck, but a very clever backhand cross-court by Azarenka. And what was that from Pegula? It's a really half-hearted attempt at the backhand slice drop shot from a very unlikely position.
Yeah, that was weird. I don't know what happened there. Changed her mind. I think because she was sort of being pulled out wide and the ball was travelling away from her, and the reaction she gave was like, for goodness sake, what on earth was that? That was a disaster.
Forehand from Azarenka. Pegula with the backhand. Azarenka slices the backhand. Pegula hits the forehand to the double-handed backhand of Azarenka, the 33-year-old now living in Monte Carlo. Backhand Azarenka. Pegula forced back. Brilliant hitting from Azarenka. Pegula's feet in the way. Forehand into the net. Break point Azarenka for the 3rd break in 4 games at the start of this second set.
Yeah, straight through the middle of the court, and that penetration coming through, just pushing Pegula backwards. Couldn't even really get the racket back in time to get a follow through on that.
Terrific hitting from Azarenka, and she's got a second serve to look at here as she tries to move 3-1 in front in this second set. BBC Sounds, live from Melbourne and the Rod Laver Arena here on 5 Sports Extra. Pegula serving, backhand reply, hit hard by Azarenka. The backhand's pushed down the line by Azarenka. Now she hits a forehand. She has the break point. Forehand to the backhander Pegula, who slices into the net. Forced onto the back foot again by Azarenka. 2 decisive, aggressive points from the 2-time champion, who breaks again. 3 games to 1 second set. And I wouldn't say the pattern of the match, Annabelle, is set permanently, but those alarm bells should be ringing very, very, very loudly in Jessica Pegula's head.
Yeah, I agree with you. And because Azarenka has come into this match with such a great positive attitude, the right game plan, she's executing it to perfection. And she's not the sort of player you would think that's going to tighten up and go away from this match. And with sort of air sort of coming into the scoreline for her, it's going to be able to... I think she's a good front runner. She's going to be really difficult to stop from this position.
(6-4), 3-1. Azarenka missing the first serve, not liking her ball toss as she prepares for the second serve. Backhand reply Pegula, forehand from Azarenka. Pegula's backhand. Azarenka with the backhand, Pegula with the backhand to the Azarenka backhand. Drop shot from Pegula. Azarenka goes into the net, trying to whip it cross-court. She was there. The tape intervened, and she'll feel she should have made that.
Definitely. Well, she was there, and you know, she just didn't quite stay low enough while she made the swing there. But Pegula throwing anything that she can at this second set, isn't she? Maybe try and change things up. We've seen her attempting a few drop shots and things. I think she's just trying to change the pattern.
Forehand reply from Pegula. A forehand into the tape from Pegula, who once again is looking at her racket strings, looking at the player's box.
You know, she wouldn't normally miss a point like that in any other match, and she probably hasn't done throughout the course of the championships. But, you know, it's a weird thing, isn't it? Stress levels, the occasion, the fact she's trying to make her first ever Grand Slam. That all just makes everything a little less smooth.
That was just long by Pegula, the service return, and that was well struck. The intention was the right one, but she's just gone long, and she's surely going to have to change her body language and her attitude here, because she's looking like a child who's not getting their way at the moment. She looks very stroppy, as if the world is against her. Nothing's fair. and it can't be helping her game in this Australian Open quarter-final. Backhand from Azarenka, forehand cross-court from Pegula. Azarenka goes cross-court, Pegula down the line. The backhand from Azarenka to the forehand of Pegula. Azarenka with a forehand to Pegula's forehand. That's worked very well cross-court by the American. Pushed back though by Azarenka. Pegula onto the baseline, the moon ball from Azarenka. Pegula patiently waits for it, hits the forehand deep. Now a short ball again, she'll play the drop shot. Pegula with far too much height, and down the line goes Azarenka for what in the end was a pretty straightforward winner.
What a really competitive point, but an awful finish from Pegula. I'm not sure what that drop shot was. I mean, she didn't commit to it. I don't think she really believed in it, and it had a lot of height on it, had plenty of time. Azarenka must have wondered what kind of gift had just been thrown down her end. I wonder whether Pegula is shown tapes of her body language, because I'm sure if she could see what she looked like, she'd want to change it up.
So would I. Azarenka serving for a 4-1 lead here. Everything has gone perfectly for Jessie Pegula in 2023 so far. 4 wins out of 4 at the United Cup as the US won the title. So it's an 8-match winning streak from the start of the year. And suddenly, she's facing an inspired opponent. She's struggling, and she can't find the answers right now. Forehand from Azarenka. 2 points, remember, for 4-1. She's got them. Another woefully long forehand from Jessie Pegula. And Victoria Azarenka now leads by a set and by 4 games to 1. And she must be feeding off the negative energy on the other half of the court, Annabelle.
Yeah, I think she is, Russell. And, you know, it's fascinating because I thought the absolute opposite about this match. Ahead of this one, my money was on Jessica Pegula. I thought, well, she's the younger, she's the more up-and-coming, ready to take her position on the grand stage, maybe make her first semi-final, maybe even go on to win these championships. And, you know, I've always been impressed with Azarenka's attitude in matches. We've always known she's such a great fighter, but I just thought, you know, Pegula surely is going to be the favourite for this one. But everything about the way this match has gone has been the opposite of what I thought. And I think, you know, you have to feel for Pegula because it's just not working out her way, but her attitude has been pretty stroppy and negative, and I'm surprised about that. I mean, I know it's lurking somewhere deep under the surface, but normally she's so relaxed, and that's what everybody's been talking about. I think even, didn't McEnroe make some comments about how she was his pick because of her real mental strength and stability, because she's so calm on the court, and actually she hasn't looked anything like that in this match.
A certain 4-1 down. She's going to have to find her early season form to come back here. Not a result that Lucy Shuker will want to remember in the wheelchair singles. Tough draw in the first round against the second seed Yui Kimiji. She has lost 6-love. Andy Lapthorne is trying to stay in the first set in the quad quarterfinals. 5-3 down, just had a break-back point. David Wagner of the States is serving for the first set. And the mixed doubles is underway, featuring Neil Skupski and Desiree Kravchik and Jamie Murray and Taylor Townsend. And it's 5-3 Murray and Townsend, first set. Pegula into the net with a forehand, and that's met by sympathy almost, just a ripple of polite applause for her opponent winning the point. But other than that, this Rod Laver Arena crowd don't quite know what to make of Jessica Pegula's performance. They were thrilled by the way Victoria Azarenka played. As David said, that first set was spectacularly good. Azarenka with a forehand, a little bit of air on this to the backhand of Pegula, forehand from Azarenka, and Pegula has hit a backhand into the net. And her game is now heading south.
Yeah, she's going to have to find something pretty swiftly, because this is all going in the wrong direction fast, and you have to admire the way Azarenka's gone about her business in this quarter-final. And couldn't have played a much better match, and couldn't have executed the tactics much better, to be honest.
A forehand from Pegula. She's loved 30 down. She's 1-4 down. She's a set down. She's hitting a forehand to the Azarenka forehand. Pegula with the forehand cross-court. That's well struck. But Azarenka has just gone long, in fact, trying to dig out another forehand and keep the rally alive.
Yeah, hasn't had too many unforced errors out of Azarenka's racket, has she? She's had to work so hard for so much of this match, but I'm surprised she hasn't been able to make more inroads. Keep the scoreline a bit tighter.
15-30. Pegula serving. Azarenka at the commentary box end here on the Rod Laver Arena. The sweat on her legs glistening under the floodlights. Backhand reply from the Belarusian. Forehand into the net from Pegula. That's a third really poor unforced error of this particular game.
Oh, that was awful, wasn't it?
These are 2 break points for Azarenka for a 5-1 lead in the second set. And the mood of celebration in the first set, because of the quality of the tennis, has turned rather funereal in the second set. Funereal, I should say. 15-40. 2 more break points to Azarenka. And Pegula just misses the first serve. David Wagner took that first set 6-3 against Andy Lapthorne in the quad event. Pegula break point down again onto the backhand of Azarenka. Forehand Pegula, it's long. And that was a terrible game.
Oh, that was an awful game, wasn't it? It's all just unravelling. And I think she's just not backing it. Well, not only just not backing herself, but not trusting anything at the moment, particularly off that forehand side. Just can't get anything going, can she?
No, she's in awful trouble, Jessica Pegula, but we are perhaps about to see what in recent years would be a rare top 10 win for Victoria Azarenka. We know all about her pedigree and her history. 2 times an Australian Open champion, most recently 10 years ago, 3 times a runner-up at the US Open. She's been in all of the Grand Slam doubles finals apart from Wimbledon. She's actually lost with different partners on each of those occasions. She's been a world #1. She's won 21 titles. She's had all sorts of personal problems and custody disputes over her son Leo. But here she is now, a game away from another Grand Slam semi-final. She's a game away from beating the 3rd seed Jessica Pegula, who's going cross-court with a forehand, and Azarenka is beaten in her forehand wing, but she has room to breathe. She'll want to finish this as quickly as she can, but 6-4, 5-1 is such a good-looking score.
Certainly is. Very, very well prepared for this match. Surely only a matter of time now.
Into the net with a forehand Pegula. And get the ball in play, and the error will come. Would be the strategy for me at this stage, I think.
Yeah, well, that was one of those forehands where you just feel that the body and the legs are not working in conjunction with the swing. And it's quite rare to see players on the tour that just use just more arm. I suppose Ostapenko would be one of those, but Pegula does tend to arm a lot of shots off the forehand.
Excellent serving there by Azarenka, dragging Pegula out wide, and a missed forehand. 2 points away from the win and for a place in the semi-finals. (30-15). Second serve for Azarenka. Backhand reply from Pegula, and it's long. She just cannot keep the ball in court. Azarenka has won only one of her last 13 matches against top 10 opponents in Grand Slam. She's been very consistent, successful on tour in recent years. She did reach the US Open final, but she's not been able to win a really big one in this stage of her career. But these are 2 match points to reach a 9th Grand Slam semi-final. Azarenka serves into the net. 6-4, 5-1. She's utterly dominated the 3rd best player in the world in this Australian Open quarter-final. Azarenka with a second serve on the first of 2 match points. Forehand from Azarenka down the line. Pegula with a slice backhand. Azarenka cross-court with a forehand. Pegula's volley is wide. Victoria Azarenka, a champion most recently here a decade ago, is back into the semi-finals at the age of 33. An embrace from Jessie Pegula, who will go away and do some long, hard thinking about this match and her performance. But let's not take anything away from the way Victoria Azarenka played. An absolutely blistering performance, especially in the first set, and even more so in the first 4 games. It was tennis of the highest quality and the highest order, and she has thrashed Jessie Pegula in the end. 6-4, 6-1, into the semi-finals where she'll play the Wimbledon champion, Elena Rybakina, Annabelle.
Yeah, absolutely breathtaking, wasn't it? I mean, just extraordinary. And as I said before, I really did not expect that. I thought that if you compared the two coming onto the court, I thought Pegula would just do it a little bit better. But it was Azarenka. And I think you used the word, Russell, dominant. And it really was a very dominant performance. It was a thrashing. And it's certainly given Pegula a lot to think about when she's trying to improve herself. She's at this high ranking of number 3. It's all about the slams for these players. And something is a little bit lacking when she's got to this stage, but to take nothing away from Azarenka, superb.
Gigi, this is not the moment to go up to Jessie Pegula and say, at least you've still got the doubles.
No, I might wait a while. Maybe if she and Coco Gauff reach the finals, you can have a chat with her then. Right, let's hear from Victoria Azarenka speaking to Katie Delacroix.
Thinking about 2012, 2013, the tennis you played tonight was just incredible. I know you have a lot of respect for Jessica. How was it tonight out here against Jess?
Well, it hurts to beat her because I always want her to do well, but I also, at the same time, I know I have to play my best tennis. She's been playing amazing, very consistent, and I knew from the first point I have to bring it. We had so many rallies, and I just wanted to try to stay there, take opportunities, because she was going to take everything if I don't try to win myself. And I'm very proud that I executed my game plan really well, and yeah, it's so amazing to be in the semi-final of another Grand Slam.
Well, I was going to ask you about that because it is your best Grand Slam result here at the Australian Open since you won here last in 2013. How special is it to be back here in Rod Laver Arena with the great man Rod Laver watching himself tonight? How special is it to be back here?
Honestly, a little bit nerve-wracking because I feel like, you want to show your best tennis in front of the best, and I hope I did that today and you guys enjoyed watching me because I really tried my best.
Now, tonight, your game plan, you said you stuck to your game plan. The game plan worked great. You hit your forehand with a lot of pace. You look to come forward where possible. I can tell you've done extreme amount of work in the off-season. How much has that helped you to get here to the semi-finals so far?
Yeah, I felt like, especially last year, my tennis wasn't bad, but I wasn't really mentally there to go out there. I played with a lot of fear, with a lot of anxiety, and it really was difficult to be brave and to take to make the right choices in the important moment when you feel anxious, when you feel hesitant. And I worked a lot on my mindset, challenging myself on things that I wouldn't really do before, and try to push myself forward because, when you achieved great success, sometimes you become conservative and you don't try, a bit more hesitant to try new things. And this off-season I was like, I just be open-minded, try new things, and put my head down and work hard.
And yeah, absolutely. And just lastly, when you become a parent, you are always playing for something bigger than yourself, obviously. And how much does that help your mindset, knowing that you're playing for something more than just yourself and obviously your beautiful son, Leo?
Well, Leo doesn't really care so much that I'm playing here. He worries more about his football and when we're gonna go play again on the. But obviously he's watching some matches, but he definitely wants his mom to be home. So a few more days here and I'll be back. It's actually my dog's birthday today, so I miss. I miss my dog also so much. I've become a dog mom as well, so I have 2 kids now.
Well, we can all relate to that. Vika, stay around for a lot longer because your tennis is incredible. Please give Victoria Azarenka one more round of applause.
Well, happy birthday to Victoria Azarenka's dog. That's a strange thing, isn't it? I know from Charles' point of view and Leo, her son, they kind of almost want their mum to lose because they want their mum to come home.
Yeah, I mean, it's sweet hearing about her son, actually. You know, she's loved being a mum, hasn't she? And I think it's sort of given her that added dimension in her life to sort of, I know coaches had worked with her and said that, you know, she really needed to take a little bit of intensity off and separate the two so that she had her life off the court and then the intensity that she brings on it. And I think that balance clearly is working extremely well, and how wonderful that she can come off court and then go and spend some time with him and put things to one side. But my goodness, Gigi, she was impressive today.